get started, shall we? Hello. Hold on. There we go. Hi. How's everybody doing? How's things? How's life? How's the universe? How's your week been? I'm not well again. Yeah. Hello, Essentialist, and hello, John. If you're, well, you're gonna be late. Uh, but hi. How you doing? How's things? Oh, dear. I have an ice pack to my chest because I have a fever. I am kind of delirious. And yeah, apologies. So yeah. I mean, the good news is that I finished 3 videos this week, so I can take tomorrow off to tidy. Possibly build some shelves that would latency tools. Where are they? It's the one that's not held together, is it? Yeah. Let me open it up and you can see. Hold on. You see the new case. Nice and shiny. This is the production version. It's pretty much ready to go, give or take. Hold on, I need to put the ice pack down. We'll focus on the thing. This is the new latency tool. It's kind of a sort of a slight upgrade. It's very similar, in fact. Please hold while I do some acrobatics. This is the original, and this is the new CS model. They look pretty similar, except this one I made literally all in-house. This one I do all the hand soldering, but all of the SMT components like the microcontroller and stuff are all soldered by JLC PCB. There's also a little jumper header on here now. So you can swap to that one and make this a 4-pole headphone jack, because it is, but it's just wired 3-pole. So yeah, that's new. Hello Simon, how you doing, man? How's things? Yeah, I apologize for the let's call it low energy. I am not well. Oh dear. Again, as usual, what's new? I know. But yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, the new ply leads. You get a nice wee groundy clamp, and you get a nice wee signal clamp, as well as the original wire that you can solder to. So you can clamp the ground, and then you can touch your mouse button to start the test, or to trigger the counting. It's really kind of funny how much like more simple latency is than response times, because like the response time tool, this is the expert one that I'm still very much in the process of developing. But the fact that you can see the photodiode is just kind of hanging in the case, because I designed it to use this style of photodiode instead, but this didn't capture enough light, so I went for the big one. But yeah, I get people who've bought the response time tool sending me data when, you know, the tool isn't working, like it can't process the data because the data is wild. And I've had one from a someone who primarily reviews TVs, and it's kind of interesting how bad TVs are as like display panels, because the data that comes off of them is just dreadful. Hello Dylan. Hey Dylan, how's things? Neo Tokyo, the new Windows update, will it increase performance on Ryzen laptops too? As far as I understand, yes. The changes are to the whole architecture of Zen. So Zen, I think even like 3 is seeing some uplift, 4 is seeing uplift, and 4 plus is seeing uplift. So I believe so, yes. Do you use Windows 11 yet? I'm still on 10. I like it a lot. Yeah, no, I'm still on 10. Yeah. It, it it it's going to take a lot to convince me to move off of 10. It took a lot to convince me off of 7 actually. I was on XP, and then I moved to 7, and then I moved to 10. I only moved to 10 because of DirectX 12. Really. Um so yeah. I'm on 10 LTSC 2021, so I got another 8 years or so security updates. Yeah, LTSC is definitely where it's at. Yeah. Is it just going to be an FPS boost, or will it affect other performance aspects, also like Cinebench and all? My understanding is that it improves the branch prediction. So I'm too incapacitated to give you a good explanation of what branch prediction is, but the simple description is CPUs operate on instructions. They operate on instructions linearly, so they do one instruction and then they do the next. And a lot of the time, instructions are like add this and then take the result of that and add this to that, or something like that. Again, very basic and not really correct. Branch prediction goes, well, we don't actually know what that result might be, or that the next operation might be, but we're gonna start getting things ready just in case that is what happens, which speeds up execution an awful lot. Now, the Spectre and Meltdown vulnerabilities were because of Intel's branch prediction algorithms, which is why it couldn't be easily addressed. In this case, it seems like the Windows scheduler has not been aware of how Ryzen and Zen, especially Zen 345, have been doing branch prediction, and so this update should give more performance to all CPU tasks, is what I'm trying to say. Hello, Jonathan. Hello, Ish. And hello, Joe. How you doing, how's things? How am I? Not well. I have started on steroids. In fact, I think I mentioned. The problem is that the whole severe psychological distress part of the steroids, that that happened this week. I've actually cut back my dosage early, and more so, I currently have like a fever. I'm kind of delirious, and I've like been uh, nauseally sick today, basically throughout most of the day. So yeah, no. I currently have an ice pack to try and deal with the fever part, because when I cool myself down, even though I feel pretty damn cold, I'm not cold, and it's helping my head. So yeah, I need to shake the ice pack up because it keeps getting warm, because I am so warm. Fair play, Joe, I guess. I'll keep calling you Joe. Oh yeah, I'm also shaking. Do you have any good two-factor authentications? I'm currently on Authy, but it feels very old. I mean, technically speaking, one of the hardware security keys is the better-ish way to do two-factor authentication, like a YubiKey or a Google Cloud Key or whatever. They're not super expensive, so if you want more security, that's fine. Otherwise, I mean, like Google Authenticator and Authy are pretty similar. Yeah. Hello, Jim. I hope you're taking it as easy as possible, though, buddy. I know it's not an easy thing to do with what you do, but still, I'm trying. Yeah, I mean, I finished 3 videos this week. I only need to do 2, but I did 3. But yeah, I would what you call it? I'm taking tomorrow off. My very good friend is coming up, and we're gonna tidy the shithole that is my house. It's now my house. I said this last week, but we own the house, or 40% of it anyway. My first mortgage payment is next week, I think, and yeah, we own a house. Wahoo! I fitted a tap already. An exterior and outdoor, like a garden tap. We didn't have one, so I plumbed it in. And I'm making calls to do the structural repairs we need. Hopefully pretty soon. And do some redecorating and renovating. Yeah. Doing a Chris right now. Having a big lager. Nice. Do I use a physical authenticator? I keep meaning to. So let's, for the sake of argument, let's say yes. How? And Dylan uses a YubiKey. It's good. Nice. Which one? There are quite a few different ones that have like a passcode thing built onto them, a like fingerprint reader built onto them, or just the key themselves. Which what do you use? Which one out of interest? For the sake of security, TechteamGB has 7-factor authentication. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the internet. Nothing is truly secure, but I do try and be as secure as I can be without also like losing access to my stuff. Oh dear. I think it's called the 5C. It's the NFC and USB-C one. Right, nice. That's cool. I have one spare just in case I lose it. Good plan. Good plan. Nice. Actually, the other thing that I've been doing this week is I finally have the new bed cooler PCBs. This is a project that I'm 89% doing just for myself. 20% I'll make the files public and stuff. So this is version 1, this is version 2. So you can see there's quite a few changes. The main thing is, so this is a level shifter. So the microcontroller that goes on here that actuates these MOSFETs. These need to be opened at 12 volts. This can only provide 3.3. So this takes the signal from here and turns it into a 12-volt signal for this. I've added some inductors and capacitors for the techs to smooth them out. I've gone with 4 and what is basically a PCIe 8-pin connector. This is 24-pin and 8-pin EPS. And yeah, I've also up-spec'd the MOSFETs for it, given myself a few options for electrolytic capacitors if I fancy. I still have the thermocouple chip and pump and fan headers for the project, on a diode for reverse protection. So yeah. And if assuming this board does actually work how I want it to, which I'm more hopeful it does than the last one, because I've actually wired it up right this time. The I have 4 more of these, so if people are interested in replicating my idiotic project of making a bed cooler slash warmer, that's controlled with a ESP board and therefore Home Assistant, um, I will be able to provide 4 of them. I mean, honestly, if I sell all 4, I'd be surprised. But there you go. My heart hurts. Uh, uh. My my I have a blood oxygen meter because I'm not well, and my blood oxygen is regularly 95, 94, 93. Although currently my resting heart rate is 90 beats per minute. Uh, yeah. Cool. Ah. Oh, don't move your head too much. You'll go swimming. Um, he has to have the device at all times, otherwise it logs them out. Yes, I know. Um, that's kind of one of the sort of downsides, essentially, to using hardware security key is that it like adding security makes it less flexible for everyone, including and especially you. And so, like, security on the internet is a trade off between practicality and usability, and security with an asterisk, because some things are more security theater than actual security. So yeah. Did anyone check out the Razer controller review from yesterday? That is essentially Friday's video. It was up on launch time. Um, if so, what do you think of it? Because it's kind of an interesting like because I'm actually still using the Chroma V2 as my controller of choice, with the sort of weirdly positioned back paddles, and the non-Hall effect joysticks, but also like stuff like the rubber grips, like the rubber overmolding on the front and the back, makes it feel really nice, whereas the V3 doesn't have that, which feels like a bit of a shame. Um, and also the 1000 Hz mode that doesn't seem to work. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm hoping that there's a firmware update that will come out soon to fix that. I did tell Razer about it before launch, but they're actually still yet to get back to me, so I don't know. Oh. Gotta love YouTube Premium. Gotta pick up my daughter from work, so I'm leaving you playing through the speakers uh, as I go, so I can listen. Nice. Well, glad to be the sultry sounds in your car. Yeah, no. See you in a bit. Oh dear. Also, thank you to everyone for the comments on the health update video from last week. I know that you lot are generally more the regulars, and so therefore are, more versed in my 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 running condition. Um, but yeah, it's always nice to feel supported. So yeah, thanks. Although it's kind of funny that, like, the let's call it unsolicited advice um is quite funny, specifically on the ulcerative colitis front, because I got two very, very strong recommendations, like two groups of recommendations. One was an all carnivore diet, only meat, and then one was basically a no meat, like low inflammation foods diet. And I found that quite funny because those two are very not compatible. um, Hello, Chris. Hey, there, man. How's things? Oh. Every diet ever will give you heart problems. It will give you a better heart. Yeah. uh, just had my sausage, egg, chips, and beans. Proper food. Nice. I mean, you're really living up to the British cuisine, aren't you? I had a Wagyu beef burger and some fried mushrooms and some potato slices and some salad. Uh, yeah, I apologize for the low energy today, but this is going to be a more relaxed stream. So, I mean, the streams are already pretty relaxed, but it's going to be more than usual. British and proud. There you go. Aren't you like 50% Slovakian though? Or is it only 25%? Or is it Slovenian? I mix up the two because, you know, they're spelled the same. Oh. 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 I mean, you're not wrong, Chris. Yeah. Uh, Slovakian. There you go. Nice. I also really need to get better, like ventilation or fume extraction in here because even though I do use my full face soldering mask, like double filtered and everything, um, I had the worst headache of my life after soldering all 50 latency tools. Um, all of these. Um, so yeah, I really need to do better at that. What you mean? This Dell server fan that's powered via USB with charcoal filters on top? Uh, where's my solder? Uh, the label is gone, but you can trust me when I say this is leaded solder because the unleaded stuff is crap. I mean, the lead in the solder doesn't really get out. It's the flux that's the problem. But flux is still a problem, regardless of whether. In fact, actually, you end up using more flux with unleaded. That's is it SN60 PB40? 60% tin, 40% lead. I think. Rather than tin, and then I have a roll of unleaded over there, which is why I'm looking, but I don't remember. Why does the RTX 4060 DDR6 and not DDR6X? I mean, I can't give you a specific reason. I know that the what you call it Nvidia has been I would argue a bit stingy on the VRAM end of things for a little while now, and so my best guess would be cost. My next guess would be complexity, which just brings it back to cost. And so yeah, cost. You can drill all the holes now. You own the house. I do. I have. I drilled a big hole to put a tap in. I mean, yeah, I'm building a set of cupboards for the living room, hopefully this weekend as well. Sticking them on the walls, doing the structural repairs, the Helifix bow ties and mild steel strapping. So yeah, that. I just got my little unleaded flux core solder I use when I need to solder, which isn't often. Fair. I hear DDR6X is in short supply, so it might just be supply and demand. I mean, yeah, quite likely. There is a reason why I've named my new latency tool the CS, which does in fact stand for chip shortage. Because parts just aren't as available as they were pre-2020, basically. Actually, pre-2021. Because 2020 there was just a run on everything, plus new stuff wasn't being made, and then 2021 was when it hit the proverbial fan. So yeah. But it's possible. Although the 4070 is one of the more mid-range cores, so I would argue that cost and complexity are just a more likely option anyway. And also, like, Nvidia might have decided that the bandwidth that standard 6 rather than 6X offers is plenty to satisfy the core. And there's also other things like the actual bus width and things that can affect that that bandwidth as well. So they can manipulate a number of factors to suit the core design and parts availability, the cost. Oh yeah, and have I missed something with fuel prices? Just driven past 2 garages and diesel is 131. Not seen it that cheap for a while. I think it's still 137 here, because petrol is 134 here. So yeah, 131 is excellent for right now. Yeah. I need to diagnose this PS4's USB ports. I have no idea how. Well, like I said, the chances that it's the USB controller chip is relatively high. I would probably with the PS4 open, plug it in carefully. Find a ground plane. So a lot of the holes, like a lot of the mounting holes, should be grounded. So you can put your ground multimeter probe there, and then carefully, without shorting anything, check the voltage at all of the pins around that USB controller chip, and see which ones are at the same voltage as the USB ports. Um, Double check that the supply voltage to the chip, because I assume that that chip is handling the USB power regulation as well. Um, that is, available, is above 5 volts. It will probably be 12, if I had to guess, maybe 19. But yeah. And yeah, go from there. But the chances that you're going to need to reflow, at very least reflow the chip, if not replace it, relatively high, if you want them to work again. So the South is a rip-off, you're telling me? Yes. Costco Southampton has diesel at 138.9. Bristol Costco is 133. Damn. It's quite the difference. Why are high refresh rate monitors getting cheaper recently? Well, I mean, that's kind of the march of technology, isn't it? They are selling in higher volumes, so they're cheaper to manufacture, or they're cheaper per unit to manufacture, because they can manufacture more of them. And the technology is getting sort of older, so again, like the scaler chip that you need to put in the monitor to convert your HDMI or DisplayPort signal to the array of your display, those chips are getting cheaper because they are now no longer new designs. Like a chip that can run a monitor at 144 hertz has been around for a decade or more. And so, like the actual chips themselves that are in your monitor don't really change much. And so, like a great example of that is why you don't see HDMI 2.1 monitors right now, because you need a newer chip that supports HDMI 2.1, and most monitor manufacturers are just using the older ones, so because it's cheaper. So basically, the short answer is the technology is maturing, it's coming down in cost, and that reflects in the market. Yeah. Also, even like the panel tech's generally getting like slightly better over time, so you could, there are more available panels that you could run with a bit of overdrive at 240 hertz, for example, and still, you know, get a good experience out of them. So yeah, just waiting for OLED monitors to get cheaper. Yeah, aren't we all? I mean, some of them aren't too bad. AOC's one's like £500 for a 1440p 240 hertz OLED. Admittedly, a WOLED that I wouldn't want, but it's there. So yeah, the cheapest place for diesel is Birmingham at 128.9 a litre. It's kind of surprising. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but life's fucking difficult. What PC build is good to compare to a PS5? Well, in terms of price, you really would need to buy used components to get anywhere near to PS5 levels of performance at PS5 levels of price. You In terms of just a straight like what is PS5 levels of performance out of a PC, um, I think you're probably talking about a 60 class like an RTX 3060 and a mid-range i5 or a Ryzen 5. Um, but it is kind of important to remember that a PS5 is not a PC, but a PC is close to being a PS5. They're a different experience, you know, the game titles, the friend network, the user experience is all very much slightly different. But as uh, as us PC enthusiasts know, a PC is more than just a gaming machine, whereas a PlayStation is a PlayStation. So they're not perfect uh, comparators. Hello, John. How you doing? Um, what have I missed? Any news? I don't think so. I mean, I'm not well. I have a fever. I'm kind of delirious, and I'm just getting through. But yeah. Is having two hard drives and a gaming PC compatible? Yes, it is. Uh, Actually very normal. I have four drives in my PC, three drives in my PC right now. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's perfectly normal to have multiple drives. You probably don't want hard drives specifically. You probably want solid state drives, as they offer much better performance and longevity. But yes, perfectly fine. The way that you connect them is either with what's called an M.2 slot. Those are little stick SSDs. You will need to check if your computer or your motherboard, the backplane that all the things plug into, has a spare slot that you can use. But it's very easy to install. It's normally just a single screw or clip to hold it in. Great. Otherwise, you can use a SATA SSD. That is an SATA SSD. Um, and those just plug in with a power cable and a data cable. Do some ports on the motherboard as well. But yes. HDD for longevity, not SSD, I'd say. There's no moving parts on an SSD, uh, and there's nothing to like. They can fail. I have had SSDs fail. I've also had more hard drives than SSDs fail, and just as an order of magnitude, there is like SSD failure rates are orders of magnitude less than hard drives. Um, they all still suffer from bit rot and whatnot, so like, you know, but yeah. Hello, Boomer. How you doing, man? How's things? I am not well. No. uh, um, I have like a ton of rust, but I would suggest new people buy SSDs now. Yeah, I mean, so do I. I have what 100 terabytes of rust spinning right now. Um, and yeah. Dan, so right, the thing is that I really wanted a tape drive for a bit to be able to back up data and have like an offsite backup. The problem is the tapes are ridiculously cheap. Like you can get the you can get like hundreds terabyte tapes now for like under 100 quid or something. Like it's ridiculous, right? The tapes are so cheap. The problem is that the drive that you need to put them in to be able to read and write the data to them, if you want one that does the generation tape that actually makes some sense in terms of like cost efficiency, as in not the one from like the early 2000s, so like 2 terabytes per tape, like you want, 10, 20 terabytes per tape, whatever. Like one of them is 18 terabytes with compression. One of those readers is £3,600. Like maybe if we all came, like pulled our, idiocy together and we bought a shared tape, machine, you know, um that maybe, but until that point I'll just keep spinning Rust. Dan, go look up the generation that supports the 18 terabyte tapes. If you can find me one that isn't over £1,000, I don't know, you'll get a cookie or something. I don't know. I'm not gonna buy it anyway, but I have a couple of SATA SSDs in USB enclosures to expand my laptop, along with the two 1 terabyte NVMe's in it. Yeah, nice. That's a perfectly decent thing to do. Um, uh, Obviously, laptops tend to have pretty limited expandability options, so yeah. Uh, Sphinx, so do I. Sometimes it breaks stuff though, so you have to turn it off, which is kind of annoying. Thanks, Chris. It's been 3 years? Jesus Christ. Look, I'm way too disabled. Yeah. John, you're not wrong. The one or two SSEs that I've had fail have had have been bad. But yeah. Dan, okay. So I've looked all of this up. So let me step you through the next rabbit hole. Go on the cost calculator and look up how much it will cost you to retrieve your data. Let's say you have 20 terabytes of data that you're storing in Glacier. Look up how much it will cost you to extract or recover that data. Because the monthlies of like 20 or 30 quid a month, whatever, like, okay, fair enough. And the transfer fees in are next to nothing. Look at the exit fee for like 20 terabytes of data. And then you'll work out why I bought three 18 terabyte Seagate Exos drives and built a PC and put it in Phil's house. I like the Backblaze drive loan / sell for data restore idea. I do as well. The only problem is that Backblaze don't offer that service for like NASes. It's for your personal machine, so it won't work with network drives. And while there is technically a workaround to do to have the Backblaze thing install as sort of a container, basically, or a virtual machine, um, I didn't like the idea of putting my data, uh, like my one backup or my one offsite backup, uh, in a position where I was paying for something that they could very easily terminate at any point because I'm sort of bending their terms of use, whatever. Yeah, for personal stuff or for stuff that's on your machine, yeah, that's fine. Although generally speaking, you don't tend to have tens of terabytes in your machine at any one time, and so having just a hard drive you you know, back up to or whatever, isn't terrible for personal stuff, or ideally a NAS. Transfers in Windows start off at just over 100 megabits and stay at that. If I pause the transfer, it then restarts and shoots to 233 meg. Is that network or disk transfers? I mean, the short answer is I don't know. That's not something that I've come across before. But yeah. Yeah, the only USB the USB is only USB 3.2 Gen 1 5 gig. So NVMe enclosure is wasted. Yeah, that's fair. Wanted to get the Ugreen 40 gigabit NVMe enclosure, but it's £80. Yeah, that's how much the drive that goes in it costs. I don't use Backblaze as the Windows I have is disposable. I understand they designed it for home user and seems fine for that. Yeah, exactly. And no worries, John. Me too. And thanks. Only $600 to retrieve 20 terabytes. Oh, well, that's fine then. Wait, how much data do I have again? Oh, that's right, 25. When I looked, it was going to be like $1,000 to retrieve all of my data. They might have changed prices since then, but yeah. Oh, that was the second part, right? You switch to 2.5 gig network, and the transfers seem wonky unless I pause them and then restart. Right. I wonder if, what how many devices on your network are 2.5 gig? Backblaze do a business package, it's expensive. Yeah, Backblaze's business package was basically the same sort of cost as AWS. So, and then, you know, exit fees. I was like, well, I have all of the hardware for a PC. I may as well just buy a couple drives. Like I spent, I think, a little under £1,000 for those drives, and they're now mine forever with no, you know, no running costs. Like, few watts at a friend's house. So yeah. I'm sorry for boring your daughter, Joe. Two devices, right? So I wonder if there is just a routing issue or something, or maybe it's the driver, or maybe it's I don't know. I'd be inclined to believe like driver potentially, but yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, it's actually £109 for the USB 4 NVMe enclosure now, the Ugreen one, without the drive. Ouch. Yeah, that's a lot. I have an 8 terabyte hard drive on my PC, plus other outside. Got sick of hearing my drives winding up and winding down, so I got a simple card. You pull the drive in and it can turn off the power to the drives when not in use. Nice. I mean, that's cool. By transfer, I mean Windows copy process. I'll look into drivers anyway. Yeah, I was. That's why I was asking what you were transferring. Like if it's a network transfer, then that would explain it. I too switched to 2.5 gig, got a couple of USB 2.5 network cards, and have now found out that the drive I back up to is only just about 1 gigabit. Nice. I have 10 gig here. Technically speaking, it's only two 10 gig devices because my PC and my I call it overkill because it's a 24 core Threadripper, as a NAS. But my work NAS they both connect to a Netgear SX10 Nighthawk switch, which has two 10 gig ports and then eight 1 gig ports. So my PC connects to that switch at 10 gig, and that switch connects to the Overkill NAS at 10 gig, and then everything else in the network is connected via 1 gig. Technically speaking, my newly rebuilt personal NAS it has two 1 gig ports, so I could do port trunking with it. The switch is set up for that, but I need to run a new cable from the switch to the newly rebuilt NAS, make that happen, and I just don't really use more than 1 gig for my personal NAS, really, so I haven't been bothered yet. Well, I'll do eventually, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like I actually have quite a few 10 gig cards, because the Aquantia AQ107 Asus card fried like a lot of my PC components, which is great. Took itself out and everything else, and then I bought a couple of Intel X540s, which are PCI Gen 2, which actually presents quite a problem because they cannot run backwards compatible. Like the slot can't be running at Gen 3, it has to run at Gen 2. But that means that you have to set the motherboard to run at Gen 2, and a lot of motherboards don't even have that option anymore. So yeah, fun times. It also has to be an X8 slot, I think. It was X4. Might be X4 actually. Oh no, I think it's X8 because it's X4 because it's two ports. And then I bought an X550, which is Gen 3 for my NAS. Although if I were to do it all again, I would just go SFP and do direct attached copper cables, because like SFP stuff is way cheaper. I didn't complain to Asus. They did not send me a full Asus ROG system. Although, funnily enough, the motherboard that's in the Overkill NAS is the only Threadripper board I have, and it is an Asus ROG one. Thanks for sticking around, Booyah. Any recommendations for a decent 2242 drive for the Legion Go? After having 2 terabytes in this Antec handheld, it's time to upgrade the Lenovo to a bigger drive. 2242 is ironically less common than 2230. I haven't tested any 2242 drives, but I suspect that they're pretty similar. So really any good 2230 will be a good 2242. But yeah. Upgraded to 10 gig switches about 6 months ago, 24 ports with two 25 gig ports inputs, so a bit of speed. Nice. I don't know if you know much about phone stuff. I can either get a 15 plus 128 or a 14 plus 256 for the same price. Well, I mean, it's a relatively simple question. Do you care about having a newer phone that will receive updates for a touch longer, etc., at the cost of half the storage, or would you rather have double the storage at the cost of having a slightly older, slightly very, very incrementally less good phone? Although, as Dan says, you might want to wait. Maybe. Joe, so a 2280 drive will physically fit in the slot because the slot itself is the same. The only difference is the length. 22 30, 2242, 2280, those are all just the measurements of the drives. The 22 is the width, it's 22 millimeters wide. 2230 is 30 millimeters long. 2242 is 42 millimeters long. 2280 is 80 millimeters long. And 22 110 is 110 millimeters long. That's the one that fits in the PS5. Well, 2280 fits in the PS5 as well. But anyway, point is, there is no such thing as an adapter for a 2230. Well, okay, there technically is adapters for 2230s to 80s or whatever, right? But yeah, if you can fit a 2230, then the Crucial P310 is great. There are also a few cheaper options that aren't PCI Gen 4. If you don't need that, yeah, up to you. Bigger's better, right? There's a limit. I mean, if you want some context, my phone, of which I don't, take any data off, this is a 256 gig phone. I apparently have 32 gig free. God, I need to additional stuff. I have to assume. Where's the info or disk map? There we go. Yeah, the camera's 75 gigabytes of my my phone storage. Yeah. Yeah. Although it looks like, so I have a sneaking suspicion that something isn't quite right there, because it's it says so it's 213 gigabytes of storage space, 32 gigabytes free, but my camera folder is only taking up 80 gigabytes of that, so and it doesn't the Explorer file system app doesn't show me what else would be taking up the space. Like, it doesn't show system usage or something. Or maybe it's just because I only have that folder selected, actually. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have a look, have a see. The root directory only is 5 gigabytes apparently. Maybe it's the apps. No, app manager 15 gig. And I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, I should probably clear some of the stuff off. Neosoku, I don't think I have any Ryzen laptops that I could do that test with, unfortunately. Is that storage basically all video? No, I think most of it is just pictures. I back up all of my pictures, but I don't dump them, if that makes sense. Like, I don't get rid of stuff off my phone. It just gets copied to my NAS every night, actually. I don't have fiber yet. I have hybrid fiber, so 1 gig at the moment, waiting for actual fiber. I'll get a 5 gig connection soon. Nice. Yeah, we have, I have 900 down, 100 up. Although it's really a gigabit up and a gigabit down and closer to 200 up. My phone is mainly photos and offline maps. Yeah, fair. I don't think I have many offline maps. I probably should, actually. Pretty handy. Heard 5060 laptops would be 4070 performance, similar how relevant would the 4060 be for how many years? So the thing about laptops is that what GPU you have kind of doesn't matter. It's really all about how much power that the thing throws at it, and how much cooling it has. So Uh, I've tested RTX 4090 laptops that perform worse than RTX 4060 laptops. Um, and so yeah, it really, really doesn't matter. Um, so I cannot say for sure. The thing is that like most laptops that I've tested anyway, especially the 1440p ones, which is kind of most of them these days, don't really make much sense to me because even with a high powered 4090, you're still not really making much use of a 1440p or actually 1600p these days display on a laptop like with that chip. Um, so you're always like, it's always a compromise in performance no matter what you do, but this is more so. um, and so realistically, like a 4060 laptop, especially a decent one, is likely to still give you good performance in games for 3 to 5 years, right? Like if you look at a RTX 2060 laptop, you're still able to play games at 1080p at medium to low settings just fine. Neo Tokyo, I when I say compromise, everything in life is a compromise. Everything in technology is a compromise. Everything is a compromise. You are balancing between the cost of the chip, the complexity of the chip, the heat management of the chip, the lifespan of the chip based on the heat management of the chip. There are balances at play with all of those choices, with all of the design choices that you don't have a say in, and with the choices that you do. Because desktop 4060 also runs same 45 below. I'm not sure what you mean. The desktop chip and the laptop chip, are they the same actual chip still? Because they made a whole song and dance about that with the second and I think third gen. 45 FPS below. Below what? But anyway, like, what I mean is that yeah, everything is a compromise, but it's still gonna be fine for a while yet. That's why Apple Silicon is best. Yeah, and how's that PCIe support doing? Oh, sorry, you want to own your machine? Oh, that's a shame. I think he's saying that the 4060 laptop is only a few FPS slower than the 4060 desktop. Um, I I think it's a lot more than a couple FPS, yeah. But again, it wholly depends on like which desktop card and which laptop you're testing, because as I said, I have tested 4090 laptop chips that perform worse than 4060 laptop chips. I have tested 4060 or I don't know if I've tested 4060 desktop cards, but I've tested versions of graphics cards that can perform decently better, and then also that like it, in fact, the last couple of reviews that I've done have been 4060 laptop GPUs, where the 4060 in the Acer Nitro V15 performed worse than the 4050 in the Nitro 5 from last year. So it wholly depends on what card and what system and what power target and what cooling. Yeah, so you want to play GTA 6 and 60 FPS? It's going to be out in 2 more years. Yeah, I mean you've got to wait for that first, and then yeah, you cannot make a purchasing decision based on a game that won't be out for another 2 years. Like that's not a useful way to spend your money. uh, See you, Chris. In fact, that's probably a good time for me to bail too. I'm gonna go try not to die. Like usual, I guess. Um, yeah, I try and maximize my quality of life. Oh dear, I'm clearly delirious still. I'll catch y'all guys. Jesus, I can't speak anymore. Catch you next week. Video Monday and then stream Thursday and video Friday.